So I had mentioned in my last video that I wanted to talk a little bit more about Dr. Umar Johnson. He has been on an absolute rampage these past few months, and I think a lot of the content is just like older stuff that's been resurfacing. But he's making a lot of good points. Obviously, there's some stuff that's really funny, but he's also has some stuff that's got some great substance to it that need to be talked about a lot more than what it is. So tonight, what I'm going to talk about is he's talking about the gender wars. I'm going to play the video for you guys, and then we're going to kind of talk about it as I play it. But there is absolutely a gender war going on, y'all. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed it, but especially in the Black community in Black America, honey, it is a clear, obvious gender war going on. I mean, between all of these podcasts, and it just kind of seems like being not being a family unit is being promoted a lot more than being a family unit. Like you see a lot more toxic stuff than you see anything productive as far as like bringing people, like kind of uniting the sexes, like promoting femininity in women and masculinity in men. Instead, it seems like you've got this kind of reversal where you've got this promotion of feminine men and promotion of masculine women, which is creating this weird relationship dynamic that is unnatural. So it's not working. And so we're having a lot of issues in our community because people are the roles are reversed, and there's some weird stuff happening here. Okay. So let me go ahead and play the video for you guys, and then we'll talk about it.
I would not be surprised if we learned 20, 30 years from now that the domestic gender war was inspired by the FBI. Just as the FBI gave birth to COINTELPRO back in the 70s and 60s to disrupt and destroy the credibility and success of Black liberation movements, I could very well see where COINTELPRO or something similar to it could have also been invented to turn the Black woman against the Black man and the Black man against the Black woman. If you look at this, it looks just like COINTELPRO, except it's not Stokely Carmichael fighting Huey P. Newton. It's not Dr. King, and Malcolm having differences. You understand? It's you and your baby's mother having differences. It's you and your fiance having differences. It's you and your wife having differences. And the family is an institution, no different than SNCC, no different than CORE, no different than the Panthers, no different than the Garvey movement, no different than the Freedom Riders. So
I really feel like that is a very huge possibility, because I know that obviously the governments and the FBI and the CIA and all that stuff, they do have a history of psychological warfare. And so I wouldn't see why something like this would be far-fetched. When he's talking about COINTELPRO, what that stands for, I Googled it because I didn't know what that was. But it stands for Counterintelligence Program, which is a FBI, CIA ran program that was put in place years ago, I believe in the 1970s, to kind of disrupt what they called communist groups like the Black Panther Party. They claim to have been watching the Ku Klux Klan. I don't really see the validity in them watching the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, they didn't shut down the Ku Klux Klan the way that they shut down the Black Panther Party. I mean, the Black Panther Party actually didn't create any terror. The Ku Klux Klan created they were a terrorist organization for many years after slavery, and yet they are still allowed to be in existence, but the Black Panther Party is not. So we don't know what's up with that, but
I'm keeping an eye on it, but I really do believe that at some point we're going to find out that the U.S. government had a hand in the gender wars and the promotion of it, because I don't think it's a coincidence that this Black male versus Black female gender war is being initiated at the very same time that the U.S. government is pushing transgenderism on elementary Black public school children. So is that a coincidence that while you're trying to disintegrate the Black family through non-traditional forms of life, through Black on Black crime, through police genocide, through poor nutrition, poor healthcare?
And I think that that's a good point too. I mean, you've got a lot of this LGBT transitioning stuff being pushed in schools, being talked about in schools, which it really has absolutely no place in schools. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, if I'm gonna talk to my child about sexuality, let me talk about it. Let me bring that up. It is my job as a parent to steer my child in the right direction. It is my job as a parent to instill in my child the values that I have that are passed down from in my family. So certain traditions, certain beliefs we pass on in our family. I do not need some teacher going in and telling my son that he can be a girl, telling my son that he could possibly be a girl and he can transition and keep secrets between them. It just really, really wild, crazy, stupid stuff that drive me absolutely crazy. So I would not be surprised if this was all a part of the same agenda. Let's break up the families, let's make everybody a baby mama, baby daddy, let's make them hate each other, and let's promote LGBTQ so that nobody will even be able to procreate.
All these weapons, the Snow Bunny crisis, along with that, you see so many commercials now where it's the black man with the white woman or the black woman with the white man. Clearly, there's an agenda to brainwash our children into either being with someone of the same sex or someone of another race.
And when it comes to the race thing, y'all, I'm gonna have to disagree with him there. I don't really think that the race thing has anything to do with it. I think that interracial dating is just a natural part of living in a melting pot society. The United States, as we know, is a melting pot. So naturally, people are going to intermix cultures. They're going to intermix different races of people are going to fall in love with each other. They're going to get married. They're going to procreate. That is the nature of it. And that has happened throughout history. So I don't really think that there's any agenda behind different races getting together.
And I think the gender wars coming at this time plays into the hand of the government's agenda to destroy the black community. On the other side, when we look at the Diaspora Wars, I think that's a CIA inspired situation. I wouldn't.
One is within the states and another
FBI doesn't have a charter to operate internationally. So if you want to disrupt locally, it's the FBI. CIA has no charter to operate domestically. So when the CIA interrupts, it's internationally. So the CIA is outside of America, FBI is inside of America. If you're a Pan-Africanist like the Honorable Marcus Garvey, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, you're a Pan-Africanist, you're automatically going to be watched by the FBI domestically and the CIA internationally. And I think the Diaspora Wars plays right into the hand of America's foreign policy initiatives. There was a security memorandum that came out, I think it was in the late 70s, early 80s, where the U.S. government, in a private security memorandum that has now been published now, said the greatest threat to American foreign interests is what? The operational unity of Africans in America and Africans in Africa. This is the government. Our biggest threat is if we let the blacks on that side of the Atlantic Ocean organize.
This is a memo?
Oh, it's a memo. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I could probably get you the numbers. It's not on the top of my head right now. Absolutely.
Right.
Some people have even published it in books. It's definitely on the internet.
Now, I really think that that's a really good point as far as them trying to limit the connection and the communication between American blacks and blacks in Africa. They would have reason to want to limit communication and limit the reach between the two groups, between us here as Black American people and the Africans in Africa, because with the knowledge that we have here as African Americans mixed with the high level of resource, like almost every resource that we need on this planet is in Africa. So if we were to combine those two, that would probably destroy a lot of the Western civilization as we know it. I mean, it would just completely redefine civilization, and it would probably put all of the power into Africa. So it actually removed the power from the Western world, from the United States and the UK and, places like this. And it would shift the power to Africa. And that's not something that they would, the secret agents and all of that, the governments and stuff on the West, they're not going to want that to happen. They're going to do everything in their power to prevent that from happening.
People have referred to it. So they basically said, in essence, Pan-Africanism is our only problem. They don't care about nothing else. People pushing religions, people pushing socialism. They don't care about that. Pan-Africanism is the only threat to white supremacy.
And I noticed that the West is really trying to push the LGBTQ agenda onto the African nations as well. And obviously they're going to get a lot of pushback because in Africa, it's just a totally different culture. I mean, Africa is Africa. Africa is not white society. This LGBTQ stuff, is more of a Western thing. It's not prominent in a lot of other countries. It's more prominent here in the Western world. And so the African people are just really not going for it, but they want to push it over there, right? I'm pretty sure they would love to be able to do more population control in Africa as much as what they're trying to do it here. But they're going to it's going to take them a lot longer to get to the Africa. It might take them, it's going to take a long time before they would actually be able to push that in Africa. But over here, because we're so liberal here in the United States, they're having a much easier time pushing that on us. But what I really wanted to focus on is not necessarily that, not really the LGBTQ agenda, but just really this whole, Black women versus Black men. This is a very prominent thing that we see. I see this up and down my timeline. I've talked to my dad a lot, and he's an older man, and he is just baffled by what he's reading from men. He's obviously seeing more posts from men, and he's reading through the comments, and he's like, he's concerned for me as his daughter, because he's like, these guys, honestly, but most of these guys, they're not even really giving you a chance. He said they're going into this, if they're approaching you, they're going into this with their guard up. They're going into this as if you are the enemy, like as a woman, me as a woman, that I am the enemy. That's what he's seeing. That is literally the sentiment that my dad is getting as he's reading. He's like, these guys see women as the enemy. And then I am reading through comments from women on women's posts, and it's the same thing. Like, a lot of women see men as the enemy. It is like literally, I was saying this before. I was talking to some of my girlfriends about this. I'm like, it just seems like it's like a war or something between men and women, especially Black men and Black women. It's like, this is getting worse. And there is a huge push against marriage and just being a baby mama and being a baby daddy. That's a whole nother conversation for another day, because I don't want to make this video too long. But there is this huge divide between men and women. And a part of it is this flip in roles. Men wanting to be women, or pretending or playing the position of what a woman would naturally play, and the woman being the man. That is unnatural. So something that's unnatural like that is going to cause conflicts, even if it's an unconscious thing. Like, you may be in conflict with your baby mama, your wife, your whoever you're dealing with. You may be in conflict with them and not even really understand, why are we having these conflicts? Well, it's because there is an unnatural role reversal. That's what I'm seeing. My dad, who's from the older generation, that's what he's seeing. His wife, my stepmom, she's seeing the same thing. She's saying the same thing. So it's not just me in this generation. I see it, but they're seeing it too. And the reason why some of the younger generations are not seeing it is because they've been engulfed in this crap for so long, since they've even been in the dating age, since they've been old enough to date. So they don't even know any better. They don't even know anything else. And half of them are raised by single moms. So you got all of these issues. There's so many issues. There's too many layers to this, y'all. And a lot of it probably is being pushed by the government. I would not be surprised if they have a hand in all of this pushing the algorithms on social media and pushing all of this negative content out and suppressing positive content because they have the ability to do that. I would not be surprised if that's what's going on. But let me know what you guys think about this. We need to talk about this, y'all. So leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about this whole thing. And actually, if you guys have any videos that you want me to watch or to do a reaction to, I'm going to put my email address in the description box below also. I would love to just hear from you guys and like maybe see there may be some stuff floating around out there that I've never seen before. So you can email me. Make sure that if you like this video, it does help my algorithm if you hit the like button. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet and you want to see more from me. I'd love to have you. So I'll see you guys next time.